Today we're talking about the 3 most common mistakes when pursuing financial independence. These are the things that we all get wrong, and it's time we call them out and move past them. And I know what you're thinking, no, we're not talking about hiding money underneath the mattress or anything like that. Where did I put that money? Aha! Let's get into it. A few years back, I was attending a conference in DC. I was sitting down for lunch with some friends, and this was probably 1 to 2 years after we started the Pioneers. We were sitting down for lunch, sitting with some close friends, and naturally, being the money nerds that we are, we started talking about financial independence. And it was in this conversation that something just came out of my mouth. Have you ever had one of those moments where you don't really think about it ahead of time, but in conversation you say something so remarkable that it kind of stops you in your tracks and you're like, did I say that? What is that? And then you start to unpack it and really reflect on it. Well, that's what happened with me. And I know you're thinking, okay, get to the point. What did you say? So here's what I said. I said the financial independence community needs a course correction. At the time, I was referring to a few inconsistencies that I saw in the financial independence community. And these inconsistencies really formed the core message of the Pioneers brand. So without further delay, let's get into the 3 most common mistakes you make when you're pursuing financial independence. The first mistake is assuming that financial independence requires high income. As is the case with all of these mistakes, this first one I really fell victim to. I've talked about this on a few other podcasts, but when I first heard about financial independence, I didn't think it was for me. And the main reason being is that I thought it required a high income. The narratives at the time, early on when financial independence was just taking off, was that you had to work in a high income job and save a large percentage of your income. And while no one was saying that directly, that was the implied message through all of the stories that I was hearing. Financial independence is this idea that you have enough passive income or assets that will sustain you. It's the point at which working becomes optional. And while a high income will expedite that journey, it's certainly not a requirement to save money and accumulate wealth. And for those of you who are earning just a little bit above the median income, it's very possible for you to save a large percentage of your income and achieve financial independence well before a traditional retirement age. Let me give you an example of 2 households to help illustrate this point. Household number 1 earns $130,000. They contribute 20% or $26,000 per year to their 401ks and retirement accounts. Their savings rate is 20%. Household 2 earns $75,000 per year, and they have prioritized savings and contributing to their retirement accounts. And so they save the same $26,000, but it's a savings rate of 35%. In this example, both households contribute the same dollar amount to their retirement accounts. So I'm going to ask you, who's better off? The household that earns $130,000 or the household that earns $75,000? Both are contributing the same amount to their retirement accounts each year. Typical wisdom would say it's the $130,000 that you're earning a higher salary and you're much better off than those who are earning $75,000. But that actually isn't the case here. And the reason being is that they have to sustain a much larger lifestyle than the family that's earning $75,000 and contributing 35% of their income. And what this also means is that the family that's earning $130,000 and only contributing 20%, they have to work 37 years before they can retire. Whereas the other family can retire 12 years earlier after a career of 25 years. Which household would you rather be? Okay, so life is not this simple as the example I just gave. The point is really simple. You don't have to have a high income to pursue financial independence. The second most common mistake is believing that FI is all or nothing. Have you ever had someone ask you if you were FI or not? I've been to a handful of FI events, including economy, Choose FI, local meetups, and a few others. And in every single event, I've had someone ask me, are you FI? This is all too common. While there's value in celebrating major milestones along your financial journey, the way that this question is phrased implies that it's either all or nothing. The conversation often goes something like this. Hi, nice to meet you. Hi, yeah, nice to meet you too. Are you FI? Me? No. It's like you have either reached eternal bliss and happiness and financial independence, or you're still stuck chugging away trying to get there. I've talked about how the financial independence community often frames this journey as a two-stage journey. You have the wealth accumulation stage, and then you have the post-financial independence phase. Two-stage, either this or that, with a sharp line dividing the two phases. This is the perspective that sees everything in black and white. The problem with this perspective is that it ignores all of the incremental progress you make while you're pursuing financial independence. In other words, the reality is that there are so many more milestones before you reach financial independence that allow you to make lifestyle changes along the way. When you have FU money, you have the freedom to leave that toxic job well behind you. At this point in your journey, work may not be optional, but it does empower you to make a change. Or when you're Coast-Fi, you can reduce your hours, you can pursue entrepreneurship, you can work seasonally. You have so many options, and all of these are available well before you reach financial independence. So this idea that financial independence is all or nothing really has no merit. So maybe the next time you're at a FI event, you can help me change the narrative and engage in small talk that reinforces the idea that financial freedom is incremental. Maybe the conversation would go something like this. Hi, yeah, nice to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you too, yeah. What are you excited about these days? Okay, so I still need a few ideas on how to change the conversations. If you have a really good idea for an icebreaker or questions to really reinforce this, drop it in the comments below, because I could really use some help on how we change this narrative and reinforce it through everyday conversations. The third mistake is believing that financial independence is all about a number. Like the last mistake, this one comes with a question that I hear all the time. And the question is, what's your FI number? The funny thing is, Jess and I don't even use a number. We use a range, sure, and we do have a kind of a number of spreadsheets that help us track our progress towards financial independence. But as we've continued on in this journey, the number became less important. And that's why we've adopted the range, because we know lifestyle can change over time. And while there is value in having that target and that milestone, focusing too much on the number or the dollar amount can be a huge distraction. When we interviewed Diana Miriam, she actually had a similar reaction when we were asking her about where she was at in her financial independence journey. If you haven't seen that interview, I'll put a link somewhere up here that you can watch, because she provides so many valuable insights on the role of money and does give a really interesting question about where she is and what her FIRE number is. But the problem I see with this third mistake of believing that financial independence is about a number and obsessing over that number is that we too often don't see money as a tool, but the end-all be-all. Money is not the purpose of financial independence. It's not to accumulate wealth just for the sake of accumulating wealth. It's about the freedom and the time and the flexibility that it provides. And it's a tool that enables that. How many times do I have to say, it's a tool. It's not the end-all be-all. And so while there's an easy calculation to figure out what that number is, it's not the purpose. So we can all do a better job of keeping this in mind as we pursue financial independence. And if you want to see more people focus on money as a tool instead of the purpose, hit that like button and let people know that this is something that needs to change. Going back to that conversation in DC, it's been 4 years since the event at the time of recording this video, and I've been so encouraged to see that these mistakes are not happening as often as they used to. But there's still more work to be done, so join me and let's all focus on enjoying the journey. And if you're pursuing financial independence, there's no better way to learn than to learn from others and to be inspired by other people's journeys. That's why we interview ordinary people who are living extraordinary lives. There may be an interview that inspires you to take a new path. So check it out. Thanks for watching and enjoy the journey.